Back now on Triad today, a good friend of ours has come to the show many times before. This time he comes with good news for the region. Jay Paul, our director, if we can see our good friend Mark Kirstner, who is Senior Transportation Planner at PART, which of course stands for Piedmont Authority for Regional Transportation. Good to have you back.
Always a pleasure, Jim.
Before we get to the main topic of this, I just want to remind people who maybe didn't see some of the other segments that it hasn't been that long since spring that we had the Livable Communities Summit, where PART teamed up with the Piedmont Triad Partnership. We had the Secretary of Transportation come in, and very high-level officials came in. What did that mean? Because I know you and Brent and everybody were preaching partnerships and cooperation. How is that beginning to help, do you think?
Well, I think it's beginning to help in a big way in that the Piedmont Triad was recently awarded a HUD grant in the amount of $1.6 million.
So they're taking us seriously.
They're taking us seriously. Yes, they are, in terms of wanting to be able to help the Piedmont Triad.
Because that was one of your concerns and Brent's too, that going in the past, and not pointing any fingers, that communities needed to work together, that there was just too much squabbling and competition sometimes about I want my federal dollars and I want my federal dollars. And so the message must have gotten through that we need to work together, right?
Well, I think so. I've been involved in a lot of projects and watched a lot of projects here in the Triad, and they've all been of a singular focus, by one agency. But this is one time where we're going to take a comprehensive, integrated look that is partnering across 12 counties to get this project accomplished. So I think the message has been heard that we can speak with one voice and get things accomplished.
I just think that's great. Now let's get specific a little bit. We don't want to get too technical on everybody, but just give me an overview. It's a Regional Sustainability Planning Grant. What the heck does that actually mean? What is it? What is it going to mean for our region? So try to break it down so everybody can understand.
Okay. Well, HUD did partner with the U.S. Department of Transportation and EPA early last year, and they came up with 7 livability principles. And without getting into the details of those, again, it deals with building sustainable communities. How can communities better prepare themselves for economic downturns, such as the one that we've recently witnessed?
Right.
And this money will go towards putting together a number of different tools that communities can use in the future to help them be more sustainable.
Now, what's the timeline for this thing? I mean, how is it going to work?
Well, unfortunately, people can't expect results right away. We didn't get ourselves into this problem overnight. We won't get out of it overnight. But the planning project and the planning process should take about 2.5 years. And then after that, we should, have some very implementable steps for communities to start using. But hopefully along the way, they'll get themselves educated.
Right. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you name one thing or an idea or a concept that might come out of this, something that you've been pushing for, or that you and Brent and the folks at PART believe in, something that the people can maybe point to in 2 or 3 or 4 years and say, this is happening?
Well, I'll go to my example of, as we've probably talked before on this show, the cost of housing and transportation. And one thing or element that we talk about in our application to HUD is that this area has been devastated by the loss of textile jobs.
Absolutely.
And those textile jobs centered around mill villages. And I would say mill villages were one of our original sustainable communities.
And of course, then in mill villages, you just walk out of your home and literally can sometimes walk to work.
Right. So I see a great opportunity here in the Triad that might not exist anywhere else to the extent in the nation to be able to revitalize these mill villages and bring jobs closer into where people are living and can live, and create these smaller communities. You don't have to be successful to be a Winston-Salem. You can also be successful if you're a Mount Airy.
Right.
Or
because you cover a big area.
Yes.
But I mean, very quickly, one thing you're getting at too is that people in this region, I think you told me one time, spend $5,000–6,000 a year just on gasoline for a car.
Right.
So your concept there, in the future after this planning is done, could save us a lot of money. Before time gets away from us, can you sum up and say what are you hoping for in general when we, like 3 or 4 years? What's your crystal ball say?
Well, I hope we continue to build that partnership relationship with everyone, and that as a region that we can continue to work better together. The other thing that I think is that you could see on the ground, getting back to some of these smaller towns and these mill villages, is readaptive use of these areas to a much larger extent than we've seen in the past, and and people being able to utilize those for housing choices.
All right,
in those
you've
areas.
been, a good point, and you've been watching the information on screen too, www.partnc.org, and this is great. Keep us posted on this, will you?
We will.
Thank
Have
you,
us
sir.
back.
All right. We'll be right back.